Thank you very much. Pledge of allegiance.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting was provided indicating the time and place of same in accordance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975 by advertising notice in the Star Gazette and the Express Times, and posting a copy on the bulletin board in the municipal building. Roll call, please.
Here.
Here.
Here. Here.
Here. First, is there a motion to go out of executive session?
Motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Executive summary?
You have to go back in.
I will tell her in a minute.
An hour and 5 minutes.
And we apologize. We did have a long executive session, which is why we started it early tonight. We did not finish, but in deference to all you folks that are waiting in the hallway, we are going to have to go back into executive session at the end of the meeting tonight. However, the items that we left remaining are mostly council trainings, and will not, when we're finished, will not require any. There will be no action taken on any of those items once we finish and reopen at the end of the evening. So that being said, we do roll call? We did. Agenda items, public comment on agenda items only. All right, moving on to old business. Item number 1 is to approve the minutes of the March 11 and April 2 and 8, 2014 meetings. If everyone's had a chance to read and review those, and there are no corrections, amendments, motion?
Motion.
Second? Roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, item number 2 is ordinance number 2014-3, second reading and public hearing to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank for calendar year 2014. By way of a brief summary.
The COLA ordinance does 2 things. One, it raises your COLA, your cost of living adjustment, from 0.5% in the year to 3.5%. But the other thing it does is it enables you to do what's called cap banking. If you did not pass this ordinance, you would have to go back to the drawing board on the entire budget before you introduce. Right now, you are under the expenditure cap by $41,000, and that's if you pass this ordinance. The cap bank will last for 2 years, so that $41,000 will carry forward as an adjustment in the calculation for the next 2 years.
For the benefit of the folks in the public that didn't meet you last meeting, you want to give an introduction? You and your team?
John Mooney with Ms. Savaccia and Dave Evans with Ms. Savaccia.
Thank you very much. Questions or comments on item 2? Motion up on item 2 for public hearing. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Questions, comments from the public? Motion to close.
Motion.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Questions or comments of council? Motion on item 2.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Under new business, item number 1 is the introduction of the 2014 municipal budget. Last meeting, after there were some questions, we put the introduction off till this to this month, to afford everybody an opportunity to try to get some additional questions answered, to explore further any questions they might have with either Ms. Avaccia or with Ms. Dobes. I know a lot of that was done. I've seen the Excel spreadsheet with a lot of the comments down the sides, and I thank council for having done so. David, perhaps if you could again, because we have some different folks in the audience that were here last month, you give us another overview of where we stand, and then if there are individual council questions, we'll go right down the dais and answer those, and perhaps we can move forward with an introduction. So please bear with us. This might take a little while, but we need to get it done tonight for a bunch of reasons, not the least of which we have other financial obligations that we need to take care of, and we can't do that till the budget's introduced. So, Mr. Evans, please.
Before we get into the budget, I just want to remind you that this is a state examination year. What a state examination year means is that the budget is sent down to Trenton after it's introduced for a very extensive review by the people in Trenton. They will look at every revenue, they will look at every expenditure, they focus on federal and state grant funds, they focus on debt service. They also take a look at calculations and percentages. So once the budget is introduced, it will get a thorough once-over from the people down in Trenton, and we will not be able to take action until we get that back from Trenton. So with that in mind, the budget that we looked at last month is the same as it is this month. It has not changed. It is the same document that was before you at the last meeting. A little over a month ago, the state came out with the average local taxes for the state of New Jersey for 2013. And I just want to point out that the 2014 budget would be collecting on an average assessed home at $230,000, $6,253. Going back to the state average for 2013, state average was just under $8,000, so $7,988 is the state average. So you are well below where the state is, so the state average is as far as where your budget's at.
Where's our average again?
Your amount per average assessed home at $230,000 is $6,253 for 2014. The county numbers haven't been released, but we have county numbers for 2012. The county average was $6,400 in 2012. So you are below that as well.
That includes towns with no
That
police
includes
and-
all towns throughout the county. You are one of the lowest within Warren County with police force. Okay. Those other towns that are included, one has a pollution facility in it, landfill. The other has a energy facility in it. So those have very little local tax rates. And that average of $6,400 is inclusive of those towns. Last month, we said that it was important to introduce because you may run into the problem with the state in a delay with them reviewing your budget. You still have the potential for them to delay your review until after your hearing on the 4th, on June 4th. We were at a budget meeting on Monday night, and we got the okay from the state on Friday afternoon. So they are kind of up against it and cutting it close on introduction of budgets going forward. So just keep that in mind. The impact that could have on you if you do not introduce tonight is that you will be in a situation where you will have a negative impact to your cash flows when it comes to tax bills going out. The other reason why it's very important to introduce tonight is because we were supposed to go down to the local finance board in April. And we were on the agenda to speak before the local finance board for the property settlements. And at 0 hour, literally 24 hours prior to us going down, we were asked to provide the state with a copy of the introduced budget. This was not a requirement in the application. However, the director is able to request items, and this is what he's starting to request. He wants introduced budgets to make sure that the budgets that are being introduced do not have any fat or any kind of excess funds that you'd be able to use to pay off items like the settlement. With all of that said, your introduced budget tonight is both below the tax expenditure cap. You're about $41,000 below that cap, and you are right on the tax levy cap. You have no wiggle room there. What it means is there will be a 0.049% increase to the local tax rate. This increase, again, on an average assessed home at $230,000 would be an increase, a monthly increase of $9.46. And again, the total tax collection for 2014 on an average assessed home at $230,000 is $6,253.
Essentially, it's about $113. Okay. Right. Replaced it like 89, yeah.
Mhm. Right.
So that means
Oh.
Director decided 24 hours prior to the last meeting that we were not going to hear any applications for any municipalities whose budget has not been introduced. The only way you could have do anything with this is a yielded position for the local finance board, of which he's the chairman. So it's really, that says kind of goes.
Right.
And technically, because we didn't introduce by March 22nd, we were in violation.
Right,
of
yes.
statute.
Mhm.
We had every right to do it. We had spoken to the examiner right up the week before, and up to 24 hours prior to the meeting, we were on the agenda.
But you pulled it because of that. Okay. But we could get into next week's meeting. We could get into next week's meeting.
I've already sent, we have two other items. We sent the amended application for the new appeal that has been settled.
Right.
I discussed this with the deputy director. I'm hopeful that if you adopt this document tonight, that you, after Betty can get it down there tomorrow, by the
Okay.
latest, that they'll have an opportunity to at least recognize that it has been filed, and then we'll keep it on the agenda. There's no guarantee,
Right.
but we've met that obligation. They understand the time constraints that we have. But if we don't introduce tonight, we have zero chance of getting on.
On the list questions would be.
When you say we're one of the lowest in the county, is it safe to say we're in the top 5,
So let's say you're in the bottom 5.
bottom 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
When you look at your local tax, you're one of the lowest in Warren County with the police force.
Mhm.
And altogether, the local tax and the total tax are well below the state.
Then coming in almost $1,800 lower than the state average. Correct?
State average for 2013.
Right.
So yes, it's well, yes. And that's the projected 2014. Right. Now, yes, you guys, I've said this before, you've done a wonderful job at keeping your tax rate so low. Very aggressive, but it's both a blessing and a curse. You have the money. So, tax rate is extremely low, local tax is extremely low, but you have the money.
You know, last year, even though the tax rate went up quite a bit, our budget was actually lower than the year before. I know we cut out like, what, $500,000? Yeah. So there's pretty much very little to cut. And I know some of the, doing the math really quick, I think the majority of the increase, the tax increase, is all for the benefit of the residents, essentially. It's for, you know, roads.
She can hear you.
Oh, you can't hear? It's going over what the increase is for, it's mostly for the capital improvement things that we need to do, like fix our roads. 3rd Street, we have a project. We have the other 2 roads that we're trying to fix, which is Reservoir Road and Plaza. Yeah, we need a new truck so we can plow again
Can you
this
explain
winter.
Can you explain to folks, Dave, who may not understand it, because I would equate it to an ordinance. You introduce an ordinance for first reading, then we come back in a month and we have a public hearing. We discuss the ordinance, we vet it, if you will, tweak it to the extent we can within the parameters of the law, and then it can be adopted then. Can you explain to people the difference between introducing the budget today and then the budget hearing that will follow? So that they understand what's happening tonight versus the point in time at which we'll have a more involved public colloquy, if you will, on the budget itself.
What you are essentially doing is giving preliminary approval to the 2014 spending. This year, during that 28-day period, the statute says you cannot have a hearing at least for 28 days.
So afford the public the opportunity to come and grab the document.
Read it, they can ask questions. It's available in town hall, and during that same 28-day period, the state will be going over all your cap calculations, revenue estimates, appropriation estimates, and ask questions, require additional documents. So during that month between introduction and
there's a lot going on. After all states, no matter what happens after 28 days after you schedule a hearing, you have the budget. If in fact the state has completed their review and given its blessing, we can then adopt. If not, we'll have the hearing and then we will continue it until next time we wait to take further action. And once they've given their blessing, we can either amend the budget or adopt the document.
So I guess my point is that a individual who votes tonight to introduce the budget doesn't obligate themselves to vote on the final budget after the budget hearing, based on comments that the public may make, or questions that they may have about particular line items. However, if we don't get the budget introduced tonight, we're going to tie our hands significantly, if not result in potential assessments, unneeded assessments that we shouldn't have to incur by not simply getting it out on the table.
Well, we can introduce the budget in favor of it tonight to not require that person to vote for the adoption.
Any other specific questions of Mr. Evans? Well, Mr. Evans, insofar as the budget itself, the introduction is concerned. I want to make a motion for introduction only.
Introduce the budget.
Second?
No.
Yes.
Yes. Not happy with it, but I understand that if we don't introduce it, we're looking at probably like $100,000 worth of fines, which would eat up any of the changes I had proposed, so yes.
Yes. Okay, moving on. Item 2, resolution to amend the local finance board application.
Yeah, since our last meeting, there were another two of appeals that were settled that we discussed. Judgment on appeals that we determined the best way to address them was to amend the initial application to approve these appeals. This resolution formally approves the action that we took last month to get the amended application.
Based on Mr. Evans' recommendation, questions, comments? Motion item 2. Second?
Second.
Oh, please.
Yes.
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 Yes, item 3 is resolution number 2014-4. It's a first reading of a bond ordinance amended to refund payment amounts to various property owners due to tax appeal settlements in the amount of $1,085,000. What was our initial exposure and what did we end up with? I knew that, but that's because we settled the last one. Yeah. Kath, any idea what our original initial exposure might have been? I mean, it was to the tune of $2 or $3 million, I think, when we.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kath. A part of the of this part of the 1,085,000. Yeah. Right, I got that. Yeah. All right. Anything else anybody wants to add? Motion on item 3.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes, item 4 is a resolution authorizing the addition of 1/12 to the 2013 municipal budget and SOAR. So Mr. Crayon that asked the question about this last month? Carlos? Right. All right, good. Just checking. Motion on item 4.
Motion.
Guys, good night. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Discussion? Roll call?
Yes.
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 Yes. Item number 5 is a resolution to accept the 2013 Green Communities Grant in the amount of $3,000 and to authorize the mayor, to authorize the execution of a grant agreement. Questions or comments on item 5? Motion?
Motion.
Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes, item 6 is a resolution to approve 2013 and 2014 grants in the amount of $30,000 each from the Division of Criminal Justice regarding safe and secure communities programs. $60,000. What is the total? 113. Sorry? Sure.
The total is 113,000.
Great. Thank you. Questions or comments on item 6? Motion? Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes, item 7, we have a resident, Victoria Gorell, who's requesting use of our park fields for a fundraising event for muscular dystrophy. So I'd invite Ms. Gorell to come forward.
And, Mr. Trent.
Oh, okay.
He's coming. Go ahead, Victoria.
Good evening. My name is Victoria Gurrell, and I am a junior at Phillipsburg High School, and I am seeking approval to have a community kickball tournament fundraiser in honor of Ian Schneider and his fight against Duchenne muscular dystrophy on June 1st at Lopatcong Park. Ian is our friend and neighbor who is a 6th grade student at Lopatcong Middle School. The funds raised at this event will be donated to Parent Project Muscular Dystrophy. The event is sponsored by Community Prevention Resources of Warren County. Insurance and indemnification requirements are covered by Community Prevention Resources of Warren County. Concessions will be donated by various local businesses. We are working with Carol Schwar of the Board of Health and will have all vendors complete necessary requirements. Music and announcing will be done by Matt McAnally. A safety committee with first aid supplies will be available. Adult chaperones will be present to keep children behaved and in the correct area, and approximately 200 participants and volunteers are expected. Township police have been made aware of the event. A garbage and recycling committee will ensure cleanup and proper disposal of garbage in the dumpsters. LAA's Mr. Ken Lutz and Mr. Don Martin confirmed field availability for this date and are in support of the event. We will seek official approval by the LAA to use the fields at their May 20th meeting. A cleanup committee will make sure the field area is left in the same condition it was found. I am seeking your approval, and I hope you support me in this event. I would lastly like to thank Mrs. Diltz for all her help in addressing these concerns to allow this event to happen.
Thank you, young lady, very much. Young man, although you didn't say much. I think it's admirable and commendable what you're trying to do, and I'm quite sure I know you had a lot of boxes to check off on the checklist to make sure that this one goes off without gets to June 1st without a hitch, and we appreciate all the effort that you've done to do that. So those of you in the audience are aware, it was a lot more complicated than simply running around and trying to find some friends to come out and support the event. She had to do this like any other adult would, and any other large-scale exercise by making sure, and she ran through the laundry list for you, that she was able to come up with certificates of insurance, make sure she dealt with the County Board of Health to the extent food was going to be served there, dealt with the appropriate township committees to make sure that there were no scheduling conflicts. It's a lot to handle for an adult. To have a couple teens do it is to their credit. So first of all, I think you deserve a round of applause from all of us. For the work that you did. I guess my question just would be if Ms. Diltz, because I remember seeing the list of things that we dotted our I's and crossed our T's. Everybody's good? Okay. Anybody else have any questions or anything you might want to add?
Yeah, just as a backup plan, I know we have a lot of games to make up. I don't know when the baseball season is actually going to end. Do you have a backup plan should the fields not be usable, even not to play kickball, but even the grass? Because if we do have like periods of heavy rain, these fields are usually a bit of a disaster.
They are in that bad condition. We plan on playing rain or shine.
Okay.
If they are in bad condition, we can push it back.
Okay, because the only thing is like the DPW would make that call, and if you couldn't use those fields, is there another part of the park that they could use? Yeah.
If they don't want us to use the fields,
Yeah.
we could.
That's the only thing that we have. They go on a daily basis and they look to see are the fields usable. Because otherwise, it's not just for the fields, but also because of injury, because of the drainage around. So as
You
long as
guys will
get
give it a
back-
run right beforehand to make sure we're good, Brian? And you're seeing LAA on the 20th, so you should be good with them, right? Anybody else have any questions, comments, concerns?
I like the idea. It's wonderful. That's great. I'm happy you're doing it. There is a bit of a conflict up here. Obviously, it's going to directly benefit a number of council. And we don't. We're trying to put an agreement in place right now about renting to outside parties. We don't have that agreement in place. Tonight we may do a reading regarding that issue. I'm not sure that I'm comfortable with town council passing, allowing free use of the fields in order to directly benefit a member of town.
Which he directly is not being benefited. It's the organization to fund. Which I understand where you're coming from.
So, right, it's just kind of a concern of the appearance of impropriety. I understand that we were also asked to write up a legal contract regarding this, which we don't have in place, so now we're spending money for something that again, there may be a conflict. Now,
Katrina's not going to bill anybody.
I know we have contracts in place for school rental and pavilion rental. Consider renting the pool and the grass next to it. We have that legal agreement in place that day. The pool can be open on June 1st, right?
It would have to come out of insurance dollars.
I think it's a nominal fee.
Life insurance.
I think, yes. We can't, no. So it's just the concern of reuse of the field, directly benefiting a council member, city council member, or indirectly. I mean, obviously, there's a question.
And bill me. You can bill me for it. We'll pay.
No.
We don't have a, right, that, the point is we don't have a, contract.
Let's try not to lose sight of the underlying purpose here. I know we donate memberships to Tricky Trays. We donate things, and I realize that we're trying to do things going forward to deal with part of, I think, where they're coming from is we're getting inundated with like out of town people coming in and doing things, and they're causing damage to the field. So we're trying to figure out a way to get our hands on that because we've got situations where residents in the town have been impacted. But let's try to keep our eye on the bigger picture, which is a couple kids have come in and put their sweat and work into putting together a project that is, at the end of the day, the dollars are being directly donated to
Project.
The single thing that I think the town should be worried about, quite frankly, is just making sure that there's an insurance thing in place so somebody doesn't break their ankle or have a heart attack or whatever the case may be. They don't complain because it was the grass wasn't cut right. No offense, Brian. So, that being said, I don't make many motions, but I'm going to make a motion that we go ahead and approve this thing and let these guys run with their project, provided that they dot whatever I's or T's they have left to cross with Ms. Deltz.
Just have one more question. Are there going to be any tents?
Can I get a second first? And then we'll have some more
Okay.
discussion. Anybody want to make a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? Go ahead, fire
Are
away.
there going to be any tents?
If we were planning on having tents put up, but if that's a liability or an issue, we don't.
If not, we would just need to check on where they go, just to make sure, just in case baseball season does get extended or softball season, we got to make sure there's no holes. So, for the kids that are playing baseball.
We can tell you exactly where tents are going to be.
Anybody else have anything?
Thank you for spearheading this.
Thank you for listening.
Roll call, please. Mrs. Schneider, somebody's gonna say.
As the mayor just said, yes, I am abstaining from voting because although this is not directly affecting or benefiting my family, it's benefiting a cause that unfortunately my son has a disease. So yes, I am abstaining from this vote and I will have no say in any of the goings on here.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, thank you very much. All right. All right. Council reports, Ms. Schneider. What did I?
Yeah, I don't think we're done. No.
Oh, I got an old agenda. I have a new one.
I don't have one either.
No, I don't have it. All right, cool. Oh yeah, look at that.
Again.
Look at that, Ms. Grau. You got to go before all the tax exemptions because I didn't have that on my list. Did I miss anything else?
Not the post redemption.
All right, items 7 and 8. Well, 7 is a refund of tax sale certificate number 2000. Did you just say redemption? It's a typo. Redemption of tax sale certificate 2012-46 and premium on block 141, lot 60, amount $11,027.41. And item 8 is a resolution authorizing redemption on tax sale certificate number 2012-001, the amount of $1,066.39. Ms. Senator, anything to add? Based on the Senator's recommendation, motion on items 7 and 8.
Motion.
Second. Roll call, please. Mr. Vaquero.
Yes.
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 Yes. All right, so we did number 9. Moving on. Council reports. Ms. Schneider.
Okay. The Board of Education held a meeting regarding their budget, and what they are proposing is approving a kindergarten expansion question on the November ballot. They want to provide full-time kindergarten for all of our residents. In turn, that would mean hiring extra 3 new teachers, 8 part-time aides, supplies, textbooks, and employee benefits, as well as transportation. If this were to, the Board of Ed approved it to be allowed to be on the ballot. They haven't approved it actually being on the ballot. If this were to take place and it was voted yes, your school tax rate would raise approximately 5.9%. And that will never go down. That will be a permanent raise in your tax, in your school tax, in your tax levy. All I have for that. Department of Public Works. With the Easter hunts, we did give out some trees, and we had pretty good success, but we had so many trees. And the kids were running around like crazy. It was a little hard for parents to stop and actually see what kind of trees we had. And I was giving people some tutorials on the trees, on what's a fast-growing tree versus a slow-growing tree. But we did give away a lot of trees. And the trees that we did not give away, the good part of that is we gave them to Relay for Life. And what they're doing with those trees is all of the cancer survivors that they will present at the opening of the relay, they are giving each one of those cancer survivors a seedling, which will represent life and some good things that they'll have to say about that. And still, after that gentleman took the trees, there were still yet more trees. And Brian and his guys had found a gentleman that was willing to take anything that was left over. So the good thing is no trees were wasted. They all went to good homes, and I hope anybody who did pick up trees actually planted them. And also on a serious note, we talked to the DPW guys about a contract. They're interested in having an employment contract with the town, and upon discussion here, we've decided to, well, I'd like to make a motion to actually grant their contract to them. It will be a contract of 3 years, and if anyone has any questions on that, I'd be happy to answer. But I'd like to make a motion to actually accept and adopt the contract.
Second. Any further discussion? Just by way of historical backdrop, they had been Teamsters before, unionized years ago. The current group, after we lost the last one, has been operating for that time without an agreement. They have not come to us and asked to unionize, but they did ask for an employment agreement. And that's the agreement that our negotiations committee and the rest of the council have been dealing with them. So that's it in a nutshell. So any other comments?
Yes.
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 And that's it on my council reports. I also just want to note that my no in approving the introduction of the budget, I do have my reasons why. If anyone's interested, feel free to contact me, and I'd be happy to give you my explanations on why I said no to the budget tonight. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Belchior?
Just quick report on the sewer project. It's some of you guys may have drove down 57. You've seen that the project has started. Equipment's there. All the supplies that's needed to do the project is there. So it's commenced. After speaking with Dan Madden, our sewer engineer, who's here with us tonight, he has come up with a recommendation. And there is a grinder in there. It's called a monster grinder. I guess it's it just fits its name because what it does is it chops up anything that comes through it, practically. We don't have one of those at the Stonehenge. That's a different pump station, but this one here has one, and it's currently, it was installed in 2006. So it's reached its lifespan where it's going to need a full service. His recommendation is to, we're getting a new pump station, and it'd be wise to put a new monster grinder with this. Also, he suggested that with the old one, we can, retrofit it, possibly retrofit it in Stonehenge after it's been resurfaced. So that's, I'm going with his recommendation on doing something like this. I think it's smart. We have all new equipment down there, and put a new grinder in there would give us another 6 to 8 years of lifespan and not have to worry about it. The cost with this is approximately $50,000. In which we can work this in with the loan and also part of USDA grants, which 23% of it would be grant money. Again, over a 40-year loan. It comes out to approximately about $150, about a month higher over 40 years. So that's something that, after long discussions with him, it's a recommendation. So I like to look at it, we pay now or pay later. If we continue using the current one, there's something that's to happen. We have to get everybody back in there, pull it out, and do the work, and it can be costly. So without, creating future problems, which we're at the end of the lifespan, I think it's wise, it's prudent, put in new with new. And hopefully we can retrofit the other one or have it as a backup for future use. We'll look into that. So having said that, I'd like to make a motion tonight that we go ahead and approve this contract to purchase one with Tulane in the amount of $50,000, and that does not include with the 23% discount, which will be part of the loan here in the grant money. I have a motion in place.
Motion. Yes. Will it help with any of the problems that we've had in the last couple of weeks?
But this is just for the new pump station on
Okay, so it's
57.
new. All right.
Okay, that's all it's for. Any other questions? Anybody?
Something we're gonna, like what's the lifespan on this?
Before it gets, every 68 years, what it does is it needs to be refurbished, depending on the usage of it. The current one there now, it's been there since 2006, so it's reached approximately its lifespan where it needs to be refurbished. Now, meaning refurbished doesn't mean the whole thing has to be refurbished. Okay? Yeah, so it could be, overhauled, replace some parts, whatever is broken, whatever is worn out, in order to have continued operation. Right, the loan, right, the 40-year loan to pay back the loan that we have currently, the entire cost of the project. Right.
The overall loan that he's talking about, Joe, is the loan to redo the entire sewer loan. The sewer project that we did, we got $7 million from the federal government. That's
$2,150,000, and we got a grant for $850,000.
it's being rolled into that. There's monies in the,
Yeah,
we were cushion within the money that we were given there. That's what we're taking it out of, coming up $30,000 out of our own budget.
So it's the entire loan. This is be worked into that.
Any other questions?
Hold on.
No.
We're supposed to be doing this during council.
Olszewski, Highlands Way.
I'm gonna let, well, Lou asked for a question.
Okay.
Yeah, you asking for $50,000, and you said that is not including 23%.
No, it would be minus 23%. 50,000, it doesn't include the minus 23%, which we would get in grant money.
Okay.
Okay, so actually it's going to cost us about $35,000.
Well, I'm not asking for $35,000.
It's going to have to be worked in. You have to approve this, and then the loans, the grant gets worked into that.
The loan and grant program is reimbursable. So what's going to happen is after the work gets done and it gets certified, Township will ask for reimbursement on it, and they'll get that money back later on, but they have to pay the contractor right now. So that's why.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments from council? All right. The motion and a second. Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. All right. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Could I just ask a question? Do you have an update of what happened the other evening? I mean, I don't know if you want to.
Storm last week?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. During the heavy rains last week, the sewer was filled up. There was just a colossal water flowing into the sewer system. And there were some residents down on Belvedere Road, around the Brass Rail area, that the sewer has backed up. That the sewer was spilling out of the manhole covers. And one of the problems that we have in town is that there are a lot of homes that their sump pumps are actually tied into the sewer lines. It's adding all this extra water into the sewer lines. And what happened is that because of the diameter pipes on Belvedere Road could not handle that amount of water. So it started backing up through the manhole covers and backed them into some of the residents' homes. And the fire department was called in, to be there, and we went door to door in the lower lying homes to find out if they had issues. But we came down to about 3 or 4 homes that had backup sewage. I went into a sewer meeting last night down in Peaburg, and that is a concern here because there's so much water coming in. Normally, this Peaburg normally handles about 2.5 million gallons of waste every day from sending districts, including Peaburg. During last rainstorm last week, they were dealing to close to 7 million gallons coming in. That's a lot of stuff, a lot of water, a lot of waste. And mainly it was because of the rain. It's seeping into maybe our old sewer lines. It's seeping in, again, with older homes with the sump pumps tied in into the sewer lines, which I think we have to look into that because, they're charging us for all this rainwater that's getting into our sewer lines. All of us here are paying additional for all this water that they have to clean and manage. So something I have to look into, how we're going to address this in the future. Going forward, as far as people tying the sump pumps into their sewer lines, we have that issue, and who knows what else. But we have to investigate. There's a lot of water. Yeah, Brian.
Unhook it. Oh.
But all that does is just increases all our sewer waste cost. It gets passed on to all of us. So if anybody that's here that's doing it, or someone, you need to disconnect it and find a different route for it. I think we need to start something like that. Anything else? That'll be it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, first up, I did meet with the Brakely Garden Tenants Association. Lou and I spoke with them, gave them an update. I'm also continuing to work with the rent leveling board to address the rent issues over there. Some of the issues have been resolved. It's a work in progress. Some other issues we're still working on. So it is being addressed. We're trying to help out our senior citizens in our town in order to accommodate them. We understand that we are moving in the right direction. Now, the second issue up is a Rice notice was sent out to an employee. The employee is a part-time employee in this municipality, Wayne Dick. He received the Rice notice, which gives him notice that we would like to talk to him about his job. He then has the option to either talk about it in private during executive or in public. He opted to discuss it in public. So the reason for the notice is there's a couple of things to cover. Wayne holds two positions in this township. First position is as a zoning officer. In this position, it's a part-time position, and it's salaried. It's a 2-hour work week. He makes approximately $9,000 plus a year. So a couple of issues on that is when the 2 hours, it seems that the scheduling, now, again, Wayne opted to discuss this in public, so just so you know, it was agreed on. The work schedule was changed temporarily at the beginning of this year by Wayne to be on Mondays. It seems that there were some holidays at the beginning of this year, so therefore he didn't have to come in on those days. However, according to his agreement, and correct me if I'm wrong, we need to make up those hours. So we would have a situation here of you got paid for hours that you potentially weren't here. According to the books, and I don't know if everything's been looked at, but there is one situation where you need to come in and make up 2 hours for pay that you've already received. We'd also like to get that back into that temporary Monday thing. We need you to get back onto your regular day. I think it was Tuesdays. And just to remind you, if for some reason you can't make those 2 hours, we need you to make up those 2 hours within a 2-week time period. That's within the pay period. You need to come in and make up those hours. We don't want to be accused of paying someone who didn't come in to work the hours. The second issue there is we have a telephone policy, and this applies to all the employees. The telephone policy is for the benefit really of the residents. We have residents that call, and sometimes they say, I've called, they come in, no one's there, no one's helping me, what are you doing? Our telephone policy is in place to cover that. If you are not here, if you're out to lunch, and this goes to all the employees, you need to forward your phone to the front desk, to the clerk's office, so that a message can be taken, and then we know that we have to get back to such and such a resident on such and such an issue. If that's not in place, then we're getting residents complaining. You know, like we have a person who's, you know, hired to do a position and they're not here and I'm not getting any response. So please adhere to the phone policy, and I think this is your second notice on that issue. So please, in the future, adhere to that policy. Now, your second position in this, second position here is as a, it's a part-time position, and you're currently assisting our tax assessor. You are working 14 hours a week, making, I don't know, 20,000 plus on that position. And according to tonight, we just passed on an ordinance authorizing some tax appeal settlements to the tune of over $1 million. So, you know, it's our position that the work there has come to back to normal, or back to a place where we need you in another location. You're our only part-time employee, and we, according to our budget, do not have budget to hire anyone else. So your title as a keyboard clerk, we need to switch your duties into the tax collector's office. There's a great need for help in that office. We need you to help out Rachel. She says the need there is mornings, 9 to 1 in the mornings, and possibly 3 days a week. So the duties then would be being changed from the tax assessor to the tax collector. Again, you're a resource in our town. You know, you're in our budget. We're paying a significant salary, and we'd like to use our resources where we best need them, rather than, you know, maybe where, you know, the need isn't so great as currently. The other issue would be to change the duties, change the hours. And again, if you are not in for the hours, I believe you have to make them as on that position. You're an hourly paid. You're clocking in. You're only getting paid for what you work. I think that's all the issues that I had to cover on that. All right. So I guess from this point, do we have to make a motion, or we just do make a motion to change the duties and the hours? Well, I didn't rice you now, Kathy, so I can't talk about you or your job because I didn't rice you. I riced, Wayne was riced, not you. Well, then I need to rice you. I can't talk to you in public. Correct. Oh, maybe you need to come up. We can't hear you on the. I'm zoning your salary, from what I understand.
Starting on the salary employee, so
Okay.
the holiday rolls around, I don't have to work those 2 hours.
Okay,
It's in the handbook.
Okay, but you temporarily switched your hours.
Yes, I did that
to
for
Mondays
personal reasons.
For personal reasons in the beginning.
I mean, I don't think working Tuesday night is in concrete anywhere.
Well, you did it temporarily, so we need to go back to where we can best.
When I can do that, I'll do that. I'm still here the 2 hours, am I not? On Monday nights?
It's my understanding you weren't on one of the nights.
It was a holiday. Right.
Correct.
Was the building open on holiday? No. Who's gonna come in on a holiday? No.
Nobody. Which
Right.
means you have to come in.
No, if you read the handbook, it doesn't say that.
Well, it's my understanding that you're a part-time employee. And
Yes, part-time salary employee. Did you see that part in there?
Yep.
Nowhere.
I see.
Did you read the handbook?
I'm reading it right now.
And read it out loud.
You're part-time, you're less than 20 hours per week, and let's see, part-time employees must be regularly scheduled to work at least 20 hours per week. You're not even 20 hours per
We're
week.
talking part-time salary employee. We're not talking about part-time.
Okay,
separate
well,
than-
eligible part-time employees shall be paid for a holiday only if they work the day before and the day after the holiday. That wouldn't be the situation either.
Right, I'm not scheduled to work Fridays.
Well, then I guess we.
I used to work Fridays. When I was attached to the co-operation, I was working Fridays.
Okay,
Now I don't work Fridays.
now you're working Mondays.
Yes, Monday evenings, 2 hours. Well, if it takes more, it takes more. 4 or 5 years ago, when I was there 4 or 5 hours a night, I didn't get paid any extra time.
Because you're salaried, then that's.
Right. Monday and Wednesdays. I work Mondays and Wednesdays. 9 to 5. 7 hours. 8 hours, 7 hours. We get 7 hours. I work 2 hours Monday night from 5:30 to 7:30.
Monday night zone.
Monday nights. And then work Wednesday 7 more hours. Fridays I'm off. And I want to be off Fridays. That's the way my schedule is.
Monday and Wednesday is as the clerk. Right, yeah.
I'm assistant, I guess assistant is the assessor. Right?
Then right now, Monday night is zoning.
Monday night is zoning, right. I can change it to a Tuesday night, but right now I can't do that. I changed it for a personal reason.
When will you be able to go back to the, I mean, Tuesday night seems to be the night that this building is open with, there's some council hours, there's tax collector hours, seems to be the convenient night for people to come in.
I haven't had any complaints about coming in on Monday nights. I can change it, but I can't do it right now.
Right, what about the telephone policy? Will you be
My
able,
phone hasn't transferred in weeks.
you have to set it up to transfer.
I did. It doesn't transfer.
Okay, well, someone needs
It
to.
transferred once. I got a question about it. Somebody calls and I'm not there. Who's going to answer the question?
We transfer the phone to the clerk's office.
Right, but you didn't answer my question.
What's your question?
Somebody calls with his zoning question.
Yes.
Is the clerk going to answer that,
No,
or
the
is
clerk is
this,
not going to answer the question. The clerk's going to take the message.
what? Well, don't we have voicemail 24/7 here? Isn't that what that's for?
Mr. Dagan, the reason we did it is, and I don't know if that you were here when we discussed it, Kathy might be,
I wasn't here.
but we were having problems with messages and residents who were calling to say they left messages and people weren't returning their calls. And then the employees coming in and saying that I'm returning their calls and the residents are wrong. And you know what? The easiest way to solve that problem was when someone's not there, we're forwarding the calls to Phyllis's office. She'll physically take the messages, and now we can track who's returning people's calls and who isn't. We've had it in place for some time. You have to forward the phone each time. You can't do it once, and then it's in place forever. Once you come in and put it back to you, no different than my office. Once you come in and it's now the call, you're getting the calls again. When you leave, you just got to forward them again.
I don't have a problem forwarding calls. But my question is, if somebody asks, if they can't answer the question, what's the use?
It's not the matter of answering questions.
I never not returned the phone call. 20 years I've been here. Never
Well, we can't. We're not in the practice of singling out the employees that say they do return everybody's calls, to pick on the ones that people say they don't. The policy that we put in place is to make sure that every employee's phones are forwarded to the office, and that way they get a person and they don't get a voicemail. And if you're only in there a couple hours a week, they're not waiting a week for someone to get back to them. Or if it's an issue that maybe it wasn't a zoning issue in the first place, maybe they called by mistake at the zoning office, and what they really meant to do was call the tax collector's office, but they hit the wrong extension. She can forward it to the right place, and that person doesn't have to wait a week either. So just forward the phone calls to the clerk's office. That's an easy one. I haven't chimed in much of this, but
I don't have a problem with that.
It's also not just, it's not just for, it's also to protect you, because we were having this little, people saying they're leaving messages, we don't know if they are.
We don't
This
know
way,
if they are not.
there is a record.
if you're not there, no one's answering their question anyway because it's being left on voicemail. So, to me, that's a distinction without a difference.
Well, I do take messages off. I used to take all the time.
You said though, if they ask a question and you're not there to answer it, they're not getting advice anyway, because if it goes on a voice and answering machine, there's no one answering it.
But if it's not on my voicemail, I can't call up during the week and find it out.
They make notes, yeah.
She can send those.
Okay, that's
Yeah. And just,
fair enough. That's
so
fair.
this way, somebody comes like to us on the side and says, oh, I called him 10 times, and we go back and like,
We
like
didn't.
3.
We have
This way we have a record for both sides.
Getting back to your holiday pay, you're not entitled for holiday pay. says here, you must be at least working 20 hours per week to be eligible for paid holidays.
You looking at a salary employee or just a part-timer? Because there's two, there used, I don't know, unless it was changed since the last time I looked at it. I used to, I hate to say, I used to get that too when I worked here. And I was always part-time. For 20 years I've been here working part-time. I always got vacation and sick. The last 6, 7 years,
2 hours a week?
I got nothing. Yes, I did. It was prorated by civil service. Why would you want to take it away from somebody? You had it for 20 years.
Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, the tax.
I'm a taxpayer too. I pay my own wages. Well, what?
Okay, well, second issue is your zoning. We'll clarify whether you're due to pay on the holidays, and according to this, you're not. So
Whatever.
we'll look it up and get back to you on that one. Yeah, Memorial's a Monday, so when are you going to switch back your Mondays?
Not until July, probably.
Convenient.
Yeah, it's very
Did you
convenient,
get it
isn't it?
written okay on that? Did you, I mean, was that authorized?
See, your error, I work Saturday afternoons. Whatever you want me to do. But I won't work Saturday.
I don't want you to work Saturday.
All right. I don't understand what the problem is. As long as I'm here 2 nights a week, 2 hours,
Hours.
what's the big deal?
We just
If
have
it's a
to
Monday
wait.
night or a Wednesday night, what's the difference?
The deal is that you need to be here, and the question is, maybe you're not here, and if it's a holiday, you're not making up the 2 hours that you're getting paid with taxpayer. Again, I don't think you're entitled to that holiday. So as for your duties
Your
as a
opinion.
clerk typist position, again, we need the help in the tax collector.
I have no problem helping me in the tax, but I will not work Fridays. Now, can I split, I got a question now. Can I
Yeah,
split
yeah.
the time?
Great.
Mhm.
What about Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, 9 to 1?
I work other places Tuesday and
Yeah,
Thursday,
okay.
What are your hours in the other place?
9 to 5.
How about we do that?
That's a better idea.
Wayne knows the parking lot,
Mhm.
he knows a little bit more
Right.
than somebody.
Right, because you have the tax.
Yeah,
I have no
experience.
problem working with, not.
And I can work with anybody.
You could probably
I
be
fair.
quicker on the, yeah.
I didn't know that
Mhm,
you
on the-
were asking Wayne to come in, and if I would have known that, I would have been more flexible with that.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
okay.
And I have no problem, you
And
know.
again, the reason is, we just don't budget to pull in new
I
buying.
have no, I can work.
I'm not asking for a pay raise.
That's a
no,
good
no.
thing.
I haven't asked for a pay raise since I've been here.
Okay.
Rachel, yeah, Rachel
I
needs to
wasn't
help.
aware that you were looking at Wayne, so I
I
have
can tell
no
you.
problem. That's
Good.
fine.
Right, well, can't
Because I know
discuss
you're, he's
outside of the
already
slice of the
familiar.
line.
I mean, I don't know how, then if Kathy has needs too, then we'll need to talk to
And I have no
her.
problem with working with
Okay,
Patty
all
with
right.
that as well.
We actually
This
been
way
working
you can
together.
have,
Actually, we've
A long
been
time.
working, yeah.
You're right.
I work with Wayne on a lot of different.
So this way officially, we can move and help you out, so you can get past some of the hurdles that you need to get through in the next few months. Yeah, so we can get over all that.
Make it work,
We want to get the online,
along with Kathy as well.
Yeah, yeah.
we want to get our taxes online, our sewer online, and that's a big project. And
The hours are still the
well,
same.
I had 9 to 1, which was 4 hours times 3 days. That was 12 hours.
Then we were gonna put the other two with Kath. But, I mean, you guys have to work that out.
We'll work out the hours.
He's
That's
gonna
not
be
a
a
problem.
little quicker, since he's already familiar with
Well,
everything.
we need to get the hours straightened out, because now you can't be here Tuesdays.
Can't be here Tuesday, I can't be here Thursdays during the day.
Okay.
It's 2 days, and you don't want to work Fridays.
Yeah. So,
Hey.
well, you guys-
I enjoy my Friday. I'm getting to be old. I can't work
see how much
Fridays.
time you need?
All right.
Yeah, well, you got,
Okay.
let them figure it out.
Have a day.
We can still do it Monday and Wednesday, and yeah, so, okay.
All right, then. I think, was that everything I had to cover? What I discussed earlier, did I hit everything?
Thank you.
I think
Wanna
so.
forget? All right, thank you, Wayne.
All right. Anything else, Ms. McKay?
No, that's all.
All right. Ms. Cheslow?
All right, let's see.
Hold on, Kathy. We're right in the middle of something. Hold on. Ms. Cheslow was talking. Okay.
We don't need comments like that, please.
I get to go?
All right, go ahead, Ms. Jesselyn.
Okay, let me start. I want to start on a happy note here. I just want to give a big thank you to our fire department, Mayor Steinhardt, Councilman Lou Belcaro, and Brian Weeks from the DPW, and anybody else who came out with him for what Lou had talked about the other night. It was a lot of water came up. I mean, Lou glossed over it a little. I mean, it was coming up into their house all over the place. And these guys were out there for hours, and I know they all did it on their own time. They drove around to check on other hotspot areas, and they did it. Some of them who could have put in for overtime didn't, and I just want to give a big thank you because that's the type of people that we have in town that are willing to give up their time to help other people try to get their homes back in order and and I know she was besides herself because I would be too. All right, as far as that salary, we are going to have to open the resolution. So again, like I had said last time, I believe we're going to lower the end ranges because there might be some positions opening in the next couple of years so we can be more in line with the economy as it is today. For Recreation Committee, we're working on a bunch of things. I do have my list of movies I have to give to Beth to order for movies in the park. We have Community Day is going to be on August 30th. It'll be at the pool. We don't have all the specifications yet, but if anybody's looking to help volunteer with that, you can give me a call. We are going to be volunteering at the Veterans Memorial. We've got some free goodies from ShopRite that we're going to be handing out after the ceremony. And that's on May 17th. It begins at 11. The Boy Scouts will be there at 10 for their car show, and then after the ceremony, there will be honorary baseball and softball games. As far as technology, Rachel and I are going to plow through the next few months, and we're going to get our online payments set up somehow. We have a couple of vendors we're looking at. We're going to see what's best. This way, if you want to, pay your sewer bill at 11 p.m., you go right ahead. Yeah, I'm working with our technology consultant on upgrading our website to a newer version of the software we're using. We're just trying to see if we can make the jump ourselves or if we kind of have to do it off to the side and then switch things around, which I won't get into the technology of it, but once we have that, we're going to go forward with the upgrade I've been wanting to do. For the LAA, I got a couple things. First, I'll start with the baseball clinic. The baseball clinic is filling up. It's getting a lot of people interested in it. I think they have 275 spots. We are getting, I think there's 7 ex-major leaguers coming to help them out. It's going to be a fun day. That's on May 24th. You have to register online. There's a link on, I believe, the LAA's page. And there's also on our Facebook page. You can find that too. And the town's website. But then we have to come in, and registration is at 9 a.m. And it's free to everyone that comes. It's being paid for by donations, and it's sponsored by the town. Let me see. Okay, here's the fun part. I drafted, we've had, the LAA has been working really hard. These volunteers put in a lot of time and a lot of effort, and I've been working with them because they do cherish our park and they do cherish our fields, and we are having people, use our fields for, maybe they're using them to practice, or maybe it's a travel team or some kind of adult league. And what we need to do is we need to put in some policies on using these facilities because everything is very expensive. The seed is very expensive for the grass, the cost of maintaining the park, the dirt alone for the softball and baseball fields can be very expensive. And then again, they have to constantly check them before the games, check the drainage and all that. So it is a big cost to the taxpayers. And then the kids that play the sports, they have to pay an additional fee. And a lot of that goes to their field usages. So the LAA, we've been working on an ordinance, which I'm going to introduce tonight for first reading. It's an ordinance of the Township of Lopatcong, County of Warren, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing the Code of the Township of Lopatcong by the Lopatcong Township Council to establish an athletic field and recreational facilities use policy and to establish rules authorizing the Lopatcong Township Council to establish recreational fields by resolution. we've been doing a lot of research throughout all the other towns to see what they charge, and that resolution will be presented at the next meeting, and it's like a sliding scale. If you're like say an adult league and it's more than 70% Lopat residents, you'll pay a much smaller fee than if it was only like 25%. So this way, you are a taxpayer, so you're already paying for the fields. But yet at the same time, you're paying a little into it to offset some of our costs. And, depending on the nature of the sport, like if it's rugby or something, we may require a security bond, and there's also the insurance that you would need. So this way we're covered. So that's for our first reading. What I'll do is I'll post this online in our new ordinance page. And also,
You want to make a motion?
yes, I'd like to make a motion to introduce the ordinance.
Second. Comments, questions, council? Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Apologize for the dramatics, folks. Where did we leave off?
I'm still going.
Did we vote? Did we just run a vote?
We just voted.
Did I vote? Yes.
Accepting resumes.
Okay, so one more thing I have to ask for. We put out the money for the football field seed, and I would like to see if I could get that back from Parks and Recreation. It's $1,400. I'd like to make a motion to have $1,400 transferred back into the LAA fund.
Second.
Questions, comments, from council?
Yeah, I have a question. Can you explain that a little further, Lori?
Football wanted to get the field seeded, and they didn't want to wait for me to come here to ask for the money because it needs a certain amount of time to sit. So football agreed to pay for it themselves, or until I could get the money back from them. $1,400. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so football's paying the town back. Is that what you're saying?
Football back.
So we paid for it. Okay, they paid for it, and we're paying it, and we're responsible for that normally. Okay.
Yeah, especially since we do have people using our fields for free at this time. So, football is willing to put it up as long as they would.
I got it.
So we could get it seeded in time for football season. Yeah. Can we vote?
Yes.
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 That's it.
Sorry, I'm reading and thinking. Okay. I just want to respond to the comment about the budget. I'm not going to pick on Ms. Schneider today, but she indicated you could ask her later about her no vote. You can ask me now why I voted yes. Frank, I'm going to tell you whether you want to listen to it or not. There's a distinction between introducing a budget and adopting a budget. I voted yes, not because I'm in agreement necessarily with the subject line items or with the overall spending plan, but with the concept. That and the fact that there were significant repercussions to the township by not introducing the budget tonight. I would equate it to this, folks. I don't know how many of you have had recipes handed down to you by your grandpa. I like to cook, as you can tell. Handed down to me from my grandmother to my mother to me, and I've tweaked them over the years and kind of made them my own little thing. But the problem is if you don't bake it, you can't eat it. And I equate voting no on the budget tonight to having a cookbook full of recipes from your mother and grandmother and dying of starvation because you never eat anything. And if we hadn't introduced the budget tonight, or a majority of us had voted no for it, first off, we would have violated 3 settlement agreements where we had exposure for tax suits of upwards of $3 million, which we ended up settling for 1. And we would have violated a court judgment, the effect of which was forcing us to pay refunds back several years more than we were ordered to do so, back to 2010 as opposed to 2012 or 13, whatever we ultimately were ordered to pay. The impact to all of us residents would have been hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest that we avoided and don't have to pay as a result of those resolutions, not the least of which, in addition, was the extra $2 million that we avoided by settlements as opposed to trials, and the attorney's fees that we would have had to pay to continue that process if we hadn't introduced the budget tonight. Next, we would have defaulted on countless financial obligations because we would not have had a budget in place to move forward in order to meet those demands. We would have been guaranteed denial at the local finance board on May 12th or 14th, whatever the date was that Dave indicated that the next local finance board meeting was, that we've already requested an extension for, and we're sort of granted by the skin of our teeth. We would have had an inability to set a tax rate, which would have resulted in our having to send estimated tax bills and then to have to send duplicate tax bills to all of you to correct the estimation at a cost of an additional roughly $5,000 for the bills, postage, and mailing. Yeah. So, look, I get that it's nice to sit up here and vote no, to simply introduce a budget that we can all question next month and kind of pick apart the various line items. But quite frankly, it's a foolish vote, and it does nothing but show a lack of appreciation for the township's budget process, and it would have exposed all of you guys to millions of dollars in tax refunds and another hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest. So I just think it was kind of silly. I understand why it was done, but quite frankly, I value my tax dollars a lot more than that, as I would think you do too, and I would not have hindered or hampered the township's ability to operate on a day-to-day basis simply to make a vote for the sake of making one. So that's my 2 cents on why I voted yes.
Can I say something? When I vote on something, I don't vote on it no just to say no, or I don't vote yes just to say yes, or because I don't like it, or because I do like it. I take this serious. All right, I listen to our professionals, and we heard tonight. It was very important to at least adopt this reading tonight. It was said it back in April, and we said it again. All right, so again, what the mayor has said in June, we can discuss this again. In no way that when Dave said tonight, that just because someone votes one way tonight doesn't mean they're obligated to vote the same way in June. But we had to. And I think it's a wise decision, and that's what I like to do, make wise decisions. Not just because I don't like something, it's because it has to be done.
Well, I wasn't going to give my reasons for voting no, but since everyone's giving their reasons for voting yes, we might as well listen to my reasons for voting no. Quite frankly, the budget that was put in front of me is not a budget. It is the 2013 numbers carried over, the unaudited 2013 numbers carried over, and that is not a budget. A budget is something that has justification, it has documentation, it has substantial information to see why things are being charged, why are we paying this money. There's no documentation, and there's nothing here to show that this is a budget. And unfortunately, I can't approve 2013's unaudited numbers, because that's what this budget is 2013's unaudited numbers. Unfortunately, my attempts to try and explain these things were I received, I guess a lot of you may not have been here last time, but I received certain attacks by people because I was trying to explain the difference between a baseline budget and a zero-based budget, and trying to get this budget to actually be a budget. My answers were, when I asked how a budget's prepared, the answers were, well, some people give me things, some people write it down, some people make phone calls. That's not a budget process. The process is not in place, and I cannot approve this budget because it's not a budget. There are things in there. There are errors in the 2013 numbers. There are errors that I found that in the 2013 numbers. I will not approve errors that were carried over. And, there's discretionary spending in there that shouldn't be. I can give you some examples of those. Discretionary spending. We have board secretaries that are salaried. Okay, so I can discuss payroll information. But I'm not talking about someone's job performance or their job. I'm talking about the pay for that particular job.
Yeah.
Okay. There's discretionary spending in there that shouldn't be. There are errors in there. There's an error that I found on a revenue page that actually brought the Parks and Playgrounds revenue down. It was a misclassification. I caught the error, and unfortunately, looking further into it, I found that in certain areas like Parks and Recreation, we talked about the pool and making money. Unfortunately, the pool does not make money. The pool just barely broke even in 2013 because we had a bad season. The pool did not make money in 2012. It barely broke even in 2013, and it will not make money this year unless we have another bad season. And unfortunately, because
Good season.
a bad season, if we have rain, we will save money.
It's okay.
All right.
If we have a bad season, our payroll register will be reduced. Right now, we're asking for $20,000 on top of the payroll from last year. The payroll was reduced last year because we had a bad season, meaning staff was sent home because there weren't enough people at the pool. So staff was sent home to save money. If we are asking for that money back this year because we are anticipating a good summer. If we anticipate a good summer, we are going to lose money. And this goes back to the council corner post that said, the pool continues to make $25,000. It continues to make money year after year. Unfortunately, that's not true, folks. And I'm taking the numbers that are right off of this trial balance. And I actually was a little bit conservative in taking the numbers. So unfortunately, it does not make money. And that's okay. If it doesn't make money, it doesn't make money. I'm not suggesting we close the pool down. What I am suggesting is that we are transparent and we are honest with the people in this room and the people that live in this town. And I cannot approve a budget that has these errors in it.
Hey, Betty, can we talk about some of the errors?
There are in the budget on an annual basis 14,000 entries. The errors that you are referring to were corrected, and most of them were on a worksheet.
Let's talk about some of the specific line items.
The pool was a realization of revenue that Christine, name, in December made, in my absence, to realize $35,000 in grant funds.
Right.
But that when John came to do the audit, that was taken into consideration. Now, when you anticipate revenues, you can't anticipate any more than what you receive. If you anticipate less and you get more, that goes into surplus, which is one way that we create surplus.
Right. But the problem is, you took the incorrect number and carried it over to
Not an incorrect number.
It is. You budgeted
It's
$97,000.
anticipated. The budget is a plan, and we just go by what was received and paid. We can't receive any more or pay any more unless we have documentation.
Right.
All right? So if we put in what we received, we can't anticipate any more than what we actually did receive. We put in less, that goes into surplus.
But what happened was the 2014 budget shows $97,000 of anticipated revenue. And I'm sorry, the 2013. Actually, it was because of that $35,000 error, you guys took the $97,000 number instead of the $124,000 number.
That's fine. That's not an error.
It is an error because it was on, and it is a misclassification of $35,000. Not an error. It is an error.
It's not an error.
All right, let's go back to, let me back up, because I gotta admit, I never went to accounting school. They didn't teach it when I went to law school, so I went and did a little reading, but they did send me to law school, and I sort of paid attention. So I do want to clarify one thing. Miss Schneider preached zero-based budgeting last month when she was here, and she brought it up again. as the means of solving the township's financial woes. For those of you who don't know, like I didn't, let me tell you, zero-based budgeting is a method of budgeting in which all expenses must be justified for each new period. Zero-based budgeting starts from a zero base, and every function within an organization is analyzed for its needs and costs. Budgets are then built around what is needed for the upcoming period, regardless of whether the budget is higher or lower than the previous one. Zero-based budgeting allows top-level strategic goals to be implemented into the budgeting process by tying them to specific functional areas of the organization where costs can first be grouped, then measured against previous results and current expectations. Zero-based budgeting may be a rolling process done over several years with only a few functional areas reviewed at a time by managers or group leadership. Unfortunately, we don't have that luxury. We review every one of our lines on a yearly basis, for the very reasons that Betty just told us, all 14,000 of them. But beyond that, let me say this too, in terms of the comment about our budget being full of mistakes. Come back in June, folks, after the local finance board has a chance to review it, and we'll see where all the errors were, because they'll have final say over how good or bad a job we did. Cash budgeting, or cash-based budgeting, is an estimation of cash inflows and outflows for a business or individual for a specific period of time. Cash budgets are often used to assess whether an entity has sufficient cash to fulfill regular operations and or whether too much cash is being left in unproductive capacities. A cash budget is extremely important, especially for small businesses, because it allows a company to determine how much credit it can extend to customers before it begins to have liquidity problems. For individuals, creating a cash budget is a good method for determining where their cash is regularly being spent. This awareness can be beneficial because knowing the value of certain expenditures can yield opportunities for additional savings by cutting unnecessary costs. They go on to give an example about buying a cup of coffee for $1 a day. Seems unimpressive, but when you look at it as a $365 expense at the end of the year, you can determine where your money might be better spent on other things. All of that sounds great, and I learned more about accounting today than I ever thought I would want to. But it doesn't mean much to us in the municipality because we are bound by the local budget law, NJSA 40A:4-1. And that says that the governing body of each local unit shall adopt a budget for each fiscal year. The budget of each local unit shall be prepared on a cash basis unless otherwise permitted. NJSA 40A:4-3. Cash-based budget means a budget prepared in accordance with this chapter and in such form that based on the limitations, percentages, and estimates hereinafter provided, there will be sufficient cash collected to meet all debt service requirements, necessary operations of the local unit for the fiscal year, and in addition provide for any mandatory payments required to be met during the fiscal year. I think it's wonderful that you came up with this great idea, but it's illegal, and quite frankly, no one in the state of New Jersey will do it because we are obligated by statute to follow the cash-based budget plan, which is exactly what we do and have done successfully so. And as Mr. Evans even pointed out to you, we are below average within the county, well below average within the state, and one of the lowest with any town with a police department here. And I would agree with you that things are getting expensive, but your characterizations are mischaracterizations, quite candidly. And the proof will be in the pudding after we get through the local finance board, and we can come back here in June and have a debate on the particular line items, because I have questions of my own. But I wasn't going to allow my questions to cost the residents of this township a couple $1 million in unfunded tax revenues or refunds, or an extra $100,000 in interest over judgments for nothing more than silliness.
Can I say something, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, I'm shut up.
I had ordered the municipal budget process for all the new council people, and all of them have come in to pick it up, except for Councilwoman Schneider. I think if you picked it up and read it, you'd have a better understanding of the municipal budget process, and also the powers and duties of the municipal governing body. It's only an aid to help you.
Right, and not every township does baseline budgeting. There are, and I'm not saying you do it every year, and I'm not saying that it's a perfect solution either, but there's justification. There is accountability for what you're spending your money on, and it's just for you to think that anything is perfect. It's not, but this is a better way to do it instead of just carrying over numbers. And I'll give you another example of the difference between baseline versus zero-based budgeting. In baseline budgeting, for example, in our budget last year, we had a roof repair for about $6,600. This year, we need a fire suppression system for $5,000. Instead of taking the $6,600 out and then adding the $5,000 in, we left the money we spent on the roof, and we added $5,000 for the suppression system. These are the things I'm talking about. There also was a 2.8 versus 28% error when we were going over the
That was on
budget.
the worksheet.
It doesn't matter. It was on the worksheet.
I know, it was a worksheet. It does matter.
Right.
It knows all the time that
it-
it's fixing before I put money.
Does matter.
It does matter.
I mean, you read the speech last week that by the time you read it, didn't apply anymore because we had already.
That's because you knew where I was going, and if you watch, yeah.
Well, I appreciate you giving me that much credit.
Right, well, watch the video. We can see us
Also, what's-
telling Lori.
Sure, you-
No, he didn't tell me anything. I prepared well before that, because I didn't get my changes in either.
Okay.
But we
Don't-
didn't take
you know, here-
your speech didn't apply.
Okay.
Finish up so I
Right.
can go.
Excuse me.
Finish up.
No, excuse me.
Finish up.
When I'm done, I will be finished. I don't appreciate the tone you're taking. I'm trying to explain something. I'm not here to attack anyone. I'm here to change a process. That's it. I'm not here to attack anyone, nor have I. Yes, really.
Please continue. Been here long enough.
Right, exactly. That's okay. You know what? I can't, you know what? I believe that every time I bring up a process, this is what I believe. I believe that I get bullied up here, and I am, you know, this is what's going on. So, yeah, getting back to the pool not making money, on Council Corner, you have that. In the minutes, you have that. The website is supposed to be factual, and it looks like 5 people, according to the Council Corner post, looked at that, and it was actually in September, so you probably should have known what the numbers are because the pool was closed, yet it still was not $25,000 in profit. And I would hope that you would take that post down until there is one that is accurate.
Betty says it's accurate, so
It's on average.
we're going by Betty's figures.
Well, you know what, there are misclassifications in Betty's figures. Right, there are. Let's see, the water.
Not the other pool report
Right.
repairs we need.
Okay, well, the water to fill the pool was not in the pool expense, and many other things were not in the pool expense.
Yeah, I just want to go over a couple of things here, just to explain how this all works. Betty has been a CMFO for 27 years, which means she has 27 years of experience. You can't hear me? Okay. Betty has been a CMFO for 27 years. Dave Evans. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But our auditors are not just CPAs, they are RMAs, a registered municipal accountant. Only about 10% of CPAs are RMAs. The RMA is mandatory in New Jersey as per New Jersey statutes, Title 45 Professions and Occupations, 45:2B-70, requirements for qualification as registered municipal accountant. A certified public accountant or public accountant holding an active license shall qualify as a registered municipal accountant by passing a registered municipal accountant's examination. Only a registered municipal accountant licensed in the state shall undertake the work of auditing the financial statements of any municipality or country. I'm just making this known because, like I said, only about 10% of CPAs are RMAs. It's a very difficult test because municipal budgeting is very different from corporate budgeting. Most of them do not pass the test because they don't, it's a whole different concept. The firm that we use has a lot of, I mean, it's like if you add up everybody who are their RMAs, it comes to like over 300 years of experience total. They represent 55 to 60 towns in New Jersey, and they prepare debt statements for about 45 of them. So, and there's, you know, some of them are Township of Morris, White Township, Belvedere, Caldwell, Rockaway Township, Denville, just to name some. I just wanted to go over that to say that it's not, like, there is a lot involved to be doing this. On April 2nd, Ms. Schneider did suggest that we switch to the zero balanced budgeting method. She went on to talk about this method and over our lazy method. However, she didn't go into the details of changing the methodologies. We weren't provided with a timeline of events needed to make this change, or the estimated delivery date of the change, or what resources would be needed, what additional work effort would be involved, and also what the anticipated return on investment would be. I personally believe, and I think we all do, that we should examine every last inch of the budget. And we also should look at any methodologies that might be more efficient or save us time or save us money. Certainly, there are alternative methods to doing that. I can tell you, however, that proposing that we make a change in April or today is not feasible at all. It would be not possible, and we've already heard like how much it's going to cost us just if we didn't introduce it tonight. To do something like that, you really have to prepare months in advance. If the suggestion was being made in the best interest of the business of this town, it would have been mentioned earlier in the process, and there would have been a business proposal of some sort. To mention it for the first time in April or May, to me, this is my opinion, is purely political. Now that said, let's look at it from a business perspective. It doesn't lend itself fully to municipal accounting like it does to corporate accounting because so many things are regulated by the state. Again, we should look at every single item that we are looking at, and I do feel that they are. And the assumption that we're just moving it over can be disproved with just one thing. The 2013 budget compared to the 2012 budget, we cut out $500,000. It was actually lower than the year before, and I know your taxes went up, and I didn't want that either, but that was because of the devaluation of the town. These are a lot of hard decisions. I can say that it's not anybody here who asks for money does not just get it handed out. And you do need to start somewhere. For instance, like the gasoline that we need for our cars. Where are you going to figure that out from? You're going to look at what you did last year, and then you're going to try to adjust and look at that. You're going to see what kind of things we need. I know we need several things for the pool. I know we need the new suppression systems. Also, like we said, we kept things. I don't have my numbers in front of me. And, I should be most upset because I submitted the most changes. But I know how much this is going to cost us. It's going to cost us more than the changes I was proposing, just in fines alone. And then the interest would be ridiculous. I just, forget what I was saying. But I just feel that we're trying to keep the departments as tight as we possibly can. The increase for this year mostly has to do with getting a new truck so we can plow because the one didn't make it through this winter. The EMS took back their request for an ambulance and is only asking for equipment so they can help save us money. The fire department has a Cascade truck that I think it provides air to the equipment that every town has a little piece of specialty equipment. The Cascade truck is ours. It doesn't go over 30 miles an hour. It's a converted bread truck. I mean, God forbid, it's not going to get there. The other thing, and what we change things around because of the ambulance, are the roads. And I do have people here from Reservoir Road. I have a video that I like to show council of what's going on their road. Plaza Road I've been out to. They have problems. Red School Lane is like next in danger to be a disaster. If there's this term called, which Paul can go into, it's called gatoring, right? Okay. Once you get to the point where the road's gatoring, it needs to be ripped up and redone. We have so many roads that are a mess, and I know the DPW works overtime trying to fix them, but it's getting to the point where they need to be permanently fixed. Reservoir Road is one. There's no drainage on this road. It is going into their basements. It's ruining their yards and their homes and their personal property. So those are the things that are in here, and that's where the increase is. I really, we looked at it, and I went back and forth, and if you come and you ask a question, why is this, you will get an answer. I have never not had my answers done. Nothing's perfect. People make mistakes. I mean, and you're going to sit here, and when you have so many light items to do, you might make a typo, something might go here. That's what the auditors are for. That's what they do. But we have to, technically, our budget was supposed to be introduced in March, going according to New Jersey statutes. So the audit isn't done by then. We have to do the best that we can, and this is an appropriation. We're trying to guess. We try to do the best that we can because things happen all the time. Like last year with the winter, we already spent, what, $90,000 in salt? We already know that, so it has to be in there. Plus, we don't know what this winter is going to be like. Plus, because the winter was so bad, the roads are in worse condition, so that's going to cost us more money. Again, and you know what? I would be more than happy to hear about any alternative methods. I just think it has to be presented in a business fashion because you know, it's easy to sit up here and vote no because she was just one no, and now they can all go in campaign and say there was no tax increases voted in by them. But that's great, but then the responsibility falls on us to make sure that we take care of the business of the town, the roads and the equipment, even if it means becoming unpopular, which, you know, it does. But
Well, I wasn't presenting any cuts in capital. So all those things that you just said, raise your taxes, those
I
aren't the
didn't
things
either.
that raise your taxes.
all my cuts are up too.
All the things that raise your taxes were the things other than capital.
All right, well, I'm going to rein this back in and finish my council report, which I started 25 minutes ago, I think. I don't have anything else. So, tax collector.
I have a few items, and I'll make it quick. The tax sale is scheduled for June 25th at 10 a.m., just so council knows. In your packets, there's a resolution for estimated billing, just in case you do decide we do need to, Betty and I have been working on it, it needs to be handled. Because right now, we can delay the county payment, but we cannot delay the payment. So, that resolution's in your packets, just something that needs to be done if you're gonna, you have to be alert about that. Also in there, there's two taxpayers that have come to us with letters asking for a payment agreement, and that resolution's in there, and I believe that we're gonna move forward with them. I have to work out the details, but I'll bring the resolutions to the next meeting after working out.
You want permission to enter into agreements?
Yes,
There's two.
there's two.
Based on the senator's recommendation. Motion? Second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Yes.
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 And last but not least, I know what happened with Mr. Dagan here, but I cannot stress enough that I do need some part-time help in my office. I would ask that you understand that.
I haven't heard anything from Mr. Dagan.
Well, whatever. Okay, as long as that's, but just in case I still need help. So thank you.
All right. Still? Disturbance? I know you got a couple things.
Yes. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to be speaking to executive session agenda items 6 and 9, specifically 6, the Strikers Road sidewalk agreement. As the council is aware, we have a $120,000 grant from the state of New Jersey to construct sidewalks on the east side of Strikers Road between the shopping center and Powderhorn Drive. When we decided to make that grant application, there was support from the residents on the east side of Strikers Road. I think that's what prompted the council to agree to file the application. It's my understanding that support is no longer there. In light of that, I would like to get permission from the council to talk to the Department of Transportation, specifically the Bureau of Local Aid, see if there's a possibility of us shifting those grant funds to another project so we don't end up losing those funds. So I need a motion from you tonight to try to seek that alternative.
So moved.
Second.
Comments? Questions? Roll call?
Yes.
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 Thank you, Mayor. And on executive session agenda item 9, DOT grant application, the purpose of that particular line item is just to make the council aware that the department just advertised 2 grant programs recently. These are both grant programs that the DOT is going to be using federal funds on. The first is the Safe Routes to School grant program, and the second is Transportation Alternatives program. With respect to Safe Routes to School, this is a program to try to improve pedestrian ways at the approaches to schools and to try to make them much more safe for students and others traveling to and from schools. My suggestion to you, if you were interested in wanting to submit a grant application on that program, is to do something on Belvedere Road. Actually, Betty and I, about probably 6 or 7 years ago, did file an application. It was crafted in a way to try to correlate with what Phillipsburg Board of Education has to do per an agreement that it has with the Township of Lopatcong. The Phillipsburg Board of Education has to install an extensive sidewalk package both in the town of Phillipsburg and the Township of Lopatcong at the approaches to the new high school. So we would work in conjunction with that and try to get some more sidewalks and some crosswalks on Belvedere Road so that students in Lopatcong will be able to walk to the high school after it's built. So that's one possibility. With respect to transportation alternatives, what the state is looking at is trying to come up with unique transportation projects in the state. One of the categories that falls under that is streetscape projects. And again, looking into our past here, we did craft a grant application to try to improve the aesthetics of Red School Lane and at the same time try to calm traffic speeds on Red School Lane. Specifically, we're applying for funds to try to create a center boulevard island on Red School Lane, try to cut down on the roadway width. It's a very extensive roadway width right now that we have out there, and it's very undefined at this point. And I think it promotes excessive vehicular speeds on that road. So we would, that's one possibility, would be to submit that application or something very similar to what we filed a while ago to try to beautify and try to cut down the vehicular speeds on that road. There could be other possibilities as well, but that's just something that comes to mind. So I just wanted to make you aware of these grant programs, see if there was any interest. We have until June 30th to file an application under these two programs. There would have to be an enabling resolution that would be adopted by the municipality. You could do that at your June meeting. I would have that prepared for you, whatever direction you want to go, either of these programs. That's my 2 cents worth. Thank you.
Could you talk about number 7, Reservoir Road and Plaza, since they're here, so we could see what steps we need next in anticipation of the budget?
Reservoir Road, as Councilwoman Chesla just indicated, is a road that is seriously impacted by drainage, and there's not much in the way of drainage in the roadway. The township did, I guess, establish a drainage system probably about 5 or 6 years ago. We were looking about a year and a half ago to improve upon that, extend that. We did not have the funds at that time, but there is a request for proposal document that I have that could be sent back out to contractors that would extend the drainage system from where it currently ends. I think it's by House 35, another 250 feet to the north. There'd be several catch basins installed as part of that. In addition to that, more recently, there are some springy conditions to the north of there, and those springy conditions are creating some impacts in that particular area. And in fact, all that water is moving southward to our drainage system. And one of the problems that exists there and why the water is not being picked up, there's a pipe that used to exist that has been removed over the years, and we don't have anything to collect the water and drain it through the remainder of the pipe out to a swale that exists on the Updike property across the street. So that would be another area that we would look to treat as part of a drainage project. And there has been some reconnaissance out there. We can probably certainly do at least one catch basin with about 75 feet of pipe. And if there's enough funds, we can add some further catch basins above that to try to get some better drainage on that road and cure that problem that exists at the upper end of the road. Regarding Plaza Place is a road that was studied quite some time ago by our office. And we didn't expect to be hit all these bad economic times over the last 5 years. We had a very aggressive paving program. We had paved extensive amounts of roads in this township, and we kind of came to I don't think we hit a brick wall, but certainly the pace has slowed considerably. If we had kept on that pace, we certainly would have gotten to Plaza Road probably in 2010, 2011. The roadway is quite alligatored at this point. There's quite a bit of patching that exists at the approach to Plaza Road. Plaza Place is a different road than Plaza Road. So there's evidence of the road breaking up at this point. So that road needs some work. Probably the best strategy there for Plaza Road would be to include that in the bid documents for South 3rd Street. South 3rd Street is going to be bid this summer, so we would probably go out to bid on Plaza Road with that. Our estimate going back about years ago was at $16,000 or $17,000. I think it's going to be more than that now because the condition of the road has deteriorated. I probably put that at about $25,000, that road, looking at it since you requested me to look at it since the last meeting. So that's a road in need at this point.
How do you start moving forward on?
Grant applications to the extent you have them, and there's good money in place. You have money to start prioritizing. Figuring out how you want to spend the money that you have to $250,000 in capital.
Just so a couple other facts on these federal grant programs. You can get reimbursed for engineering and inspection. Normal DOT local aid job, you can only be reimbursed for inspection. Municipalities have to foot the bill for the design engineering, so that's an advantage. You typically can ask for a lot more money under the federal aid programs. In fact, on the transportation alternative, they're allowing, there's a soft cap on this, but they're advertising $1 million. Safe Routes to School is typically a $300,000 to $400,000 request. You would want to keep it in that range.
Create a list of the roads, prioritize them. Oh, sure. Okay. You create a list of roads that are in need of repair, prioritize them, find out what applications there are available to us to make to try to help fund them, make sure that we have sufficient money within the budget to cover them, and then you dip into it as you can to meet them on a priority basis.
And then Ken, if you feel like one road has, is a higher priority, not only that, but there needs to be like maybe some kind of stopgap fixed. And then meantime, like we're talking about the drainage pipe going across Reservoir. So we could,
Some of that work we can do in-house. I mean, some of our road department guys are capable of taking care of some of the smaller jobs.
as soon as we could get going on that, I'd like to.
Thank you very much. I will take care of that.
Okay.
I have a question. Are you allowed to share with us what was handed to you before Ms. Stegman stomped out of here?
Yes, she had me a note tendering a resignation.
And are we accepting that this evening?
Isn't that a personnel matter that needs to be discussed in executive session?
You just quit.
Can I ask who sent Wayne the rice notice? I mean, who did it come from? Just you? It didn't.
Whenever someone wants to talk about an employee, they ask my office.
Does it say council wants to talk to you about it, or does it have an individual's name on who wanted to talk to them about it?
And
Like,
technically,
how
I
was
set
it
the
addressed?
agenda, so Ms. McCabe indicated that she wanted to talk about this particular person, and we did. I said we could deal with it. Yeah, the only way to deal with it was the way we did. That's how it ended up on the executive session. Or, excuse me, on the regular agenda as opposed to the executive agenda.
Okay, I just didn't know who the letter came from. Was it addressed from council or
Place notice
from?
the attorney for the township.
Okay, so it doesn't say it's from to or from council,
So,
because I didn't get that until this evening. So I just want to make sure that my name wasn't on it as something that was known. Okay. Okay.
um,
And now are we going to executive session?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. What we're debating is whether or not an employee can effectively waive their rights notice provisions by, speaking up in public about themselves, which I would argue that Stegan did when she walked up here and handed me a letter. Now, Katrina's not familiar with it, and neither am I specifically, and I'm reluctant to venture an opinion. I will tell you this, because we dealt with this, ironically, we dealt with this with the former tax assessor, which is resignations are legally effective the date they are accepted, not the date they are tendered, because the former tax assessor handed us a post-dated resignation, not knowing that we could accept it, and when we did, she was done. So even though it was post-dated, it was irrelevant. But my concern would be that I don't know that we would have a discussion in the public session. My concern is that even though she walked up here and handed it to us, I don't know what the implications of that legally are. And I just, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to defer to you guys. I'm going to defer to counsel, and I'm not here to give you a legal opinion. I have my reservations.
Can I speak? Yeah, I'd like to,
Technically, we shouldn't talk about the employees, so be careful what you want to say.
I just, in a situation like this, I would support a cooling off period. And I'll leave it at that.
I agree.
Sure. Look into it legally and see what options.
And honestly, I feel better, safer about that anyway, because I just, if we act
Err
and
on
we
the
shouldn't,
side of caution.
there are repercussions to the township like this.
The law, yes.
Anyway, motion to approve department reports.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Pay bills? Motion.
Motion.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
No,
Aye.
I didn't get anything to pay. Was there something that went around to sign?
There's something in our packet.
No, the bill list to
Yeah, you
sign.
can get it signed.
What's that? Send a little bill list around?
Everyone.
So I'll say no to that motion until it's done.
Yeah, no problem.
That's all right, I have my copy.
Yeah, I have my copy,
Not only looked at all the bills, I messed them all up.
and I signed them, so I'm familiar with them. So anyway, we have 4 yeas and a nay. Is that the deal?
No, I still didn't sign it.
Yeah, no problem. It's working its way to you. There you go. We'll hold off. See what's supposed to sign it now. Start a roll on that, please.
I have a question. Is this the same bill? Is this the same exact list that you put in my mailbox, or has there been changes to it?
Exact same one.
Okay, so there's no additions to it since since Friday? Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, folks, questions, comments? Fire away. Somebody turn the air conditioner on.
187 Stone Hills Drive. I have two comments, the opposite end. Ms. Snyder, I was at the board meeting the other night. I did not see you. Since there was only a half a dozen people in the room, I think I would have seen you. I ask that you please retract your comment because you do not have your figures correct or your comments. So please check with the board before you give out that tax information. Well, if you go back, I don't know, about 3 years, Vic Camperine, he had stated about making Stonehenge, that's Gulena Boulevard. At that time, there were a couple of residents that didn't like the fact that when they pull out of their driveways, if there was something in the middle there. Might I make a suggestion that since the road has to be addressed, maybe because we did make 2 lanes by the light on Baltimore there, what if you did, like shoulder markings and then go into the 2 lanes? That would prevent near accidents when somebody is rushing in the morning and you're doing the speed limit and they decide to pass you. And then do it on the right side when you're making a right when it comes to the 2 lanes. And it would also help out the residents on Red School Lane. So that was under discussion with Vic, and I don't know if you remember that. Yeah, so I don't know if you want to look back on those minutes or if you'd like to address now.
Well, that's certainly a possibility, but I don't think that would be an eligible grant application under that program because there would be no beautification aspect of the project.
No, I don't want a boulevard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
And striping for like a shoulder, so the cars could park there, and then that would create a 1 lane
Yeah.
until you get to the.
and that's something that is very feasible, and would also cure some of the problems that I observe as the municipal engineer on that roadway. So, but if you're going to go that route to solving the problems, you're not going to get grant money under this particular program I just described. So you're gonna probably go and seek local aid monies under the standard DOT local aid program at some point in the future. Is that type of improvement would fit under that program? It's not gonna fit under this federal aid program.
What about cobblestone, shoulders? That count as beautification?
I don't think so.
No.
What about those extra trees? Can we put them in? I don't know if anybody in the audience is from Red School Lane to speak, like they did back then when it was addressed several years back. So it's just a thought that if.
It's an issue. The island would be beautiful. I think it would knock down quite a bit of the roadway width that you have there, which will help with the vehicular speeds, but it is going to hinder someone on that street who has an access driveway.
Right.
It's going to hinder them. So that's one of the trade-offs there.
And to be honest, I have a difficult time getting to work in the morning trying to get across Red School Lane, pulling out there because you're at an angle, so to see. And if you're going to stick something there, again, you're at an angle, it's hard to see. So there's a couple of different reasonings. Okay, thank you.
I just want to address you, Ms. Saul. I have the agenda that says all of the employees
But
and all
at the
that.
meeting, it was all changed.
This was all changed at the meeting?
Yes.
Okay, well,
And there
sorry
were
about
2
that.
board
I did
members
have
in
the
your
agenda.
audience tonight that could verify that.
Okay,
I don't know if legally they can, so I'm standing up telling you.
okay. Mr. Hall, can you legally tell me what was changed? Because I certainly don't want to provide false information. Okay. Okay. So that was last night. Okay, this wasn't at the meeting. Right, okay. Okay, I wasn't aware of the meeting last night. Okay, this was, I'm talking about the meeting before that. So yes, I wasn't aware of a meeting last night. Okay.
Thank you. Anybody else, questions, comments? Joe?
I have 3 questions. When any person tenders a resignation and it has not been accepted, does that person still have access to the office to which they were at prior to this? And will the municipal building have an answer by tomorrow morning at when business hours are?
We'll try to have an answer first thing in the morning.
But even though they're not office hour schedule, one would have access to the building.
Mhm.
I'm only asking this because of the comment on the way out that hasn't been much fun working here. And you're looking at security issues. We're only dealing with dollars, so. Two, Phillipsburg has a policy that if a young person wants to participate in Phillipsburg athletic programs, such as be on the PAL team or the First Street Center, that they need to be residents of Phillipsburg. That PAL can't recruit your son to be on one of their football teams. Sorry?
He's joking. He's going to recruit from Phillipsburg.
Does Lopatcong have a similar policy that only Lopatcong residents can participate in LAA activities?
No. We allow-
Might that be something to look at, being that Phillipsburg has seen it as a
We
good thing to
have,
do?
like for football, we open football to everyone. Primarily, some towns don't have a football team, so we do take them on. At one point, it was supposed to be like Greenwich was only supposed to go to us, and then Greenwich went back to Cohat, and now it's a little open. It's usually, there is a kind of a petition process. If somebody wants to leave their league, like in Phillipsburg, they need to contact the coach and the director of that sport and state why they're leaving, and then I believe they need like I want to say a blessing, but they need a release from the other.
Trouble, like our kids aren't being excluded, or we actually had trouble sometimes finding kids. If you go back, like the midget football team, 3-4 years ago, I mean, they played a couple games with 10 kids because we didn't have enough kids.
Yeah.
Some of those kids were from out of town to make 10 kids.
Mhm.
The problem is you have the rec teams and stuff that draw kids away.
Like little minors.
It's been difficult in a lot of instances to find, or what we would consider the traditional little league teams and stuff, to actually get kids.
But you do need the release to say, so Peaburg will say, okay, you're no longer going to play with us, and then Lopat will take them on. And it is usually on a case-to-case basis. Like for football, I know they open it up because of that very reason. We lose a lot of kids in 7th and 8th grade to the little minors, and I'm not sure how Pop Warner's doing at this point.
I
But
can't say that I know of any kids, like little league baseball players, that are playing with us from other towns. But I can think of, like in my son's group, we have 4 Lopat teams, just in their age group alone.
we get a couple basketball players.
Couple people are good. Like I said, you see it much a lot more in football. Like when we coached, I did the biddy team last year. We had one kid that came from Greenwich, but they didn't have a team.
Yeah.
That
They're
was
just
the-
out though, right? They only have Pop Warner, I believe. Yeah.
We haven't done that. Whether they've considered, I have no idea. I don't know what the LAA would think. Those are some of the pros and
They
cons.
can actually, they just put something in their bylaws too that allows the director, if they want to, they can charge an additional fee for an out-of-town resident. So they could charge them more if they found that they needed that.
I can't say that we've had any parents come to us and say their kids are not getting playing time because we have kids from other towns.
I'm just remembering 30 years ago when my youngest, who was 10, was recruited by one of the Phillipsburg teams to play baseball. And I just thought this was an awful way to start the kids out in competitive sports, stealing them from one township to another.
Not so much for the town sponsored teams, but I guess you would call them like the.
Right. Yeah, typically we don't get a lot because the kids do want to play for their own team. They do take a lot of pride in that, and usually it's a problem of like maybe they're more comfortable with maybe they know the kids through some other activity like Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts or maybe through a CCD or something like that, and they feel more comfortable with them. But typically it's just football that we open up because we do have towns that don't have them, and others are on a case-by-case basis.
3, I know this is something that probably should go before the Board of Education for them to consider, but since you are the leading authority in town, in next year's class entering high schools from the districts, from the sending districts and from Phillipsburg, will show 61% of the next year's 9th grade class, 61% coming from the sending districts. and 39% from the town of Phillipsburg itself. Talked about a 5.9% increase if we go full-time kindergarten. Peaburg just hit us with a 7.9% increase for high school tuition from the sending districts. I don't know how much more you can take, but I can't take too much more. Isn't it about the time the council communicate to the Board of Education, we seriously need to consider, I'm on some pain medication, so I'm just spitting things out as best I could.
More
Makes sense so
representation.
far. Go ahead.
Isn't it about time council worked with the Board of Education to start a serious discussion with the other sending districts about a regionalized school district? So we have some input into how our tax dollars are being spent on the other side.
Not to be dismissive of it. It's a conversation that's been had countless times just in the 15 years I've been here. But my understanding is that it requires Department of Education approval, or also requires Phillipsburg signing off, because they're part of the send receive district. And with all and then this is just a political statement, but with all the pushes toward consolidation of services everywhere, I think you would be hard pressed to convince the state to sign off on a plan to bifurcate a school district, especially when they're about to drop $100 million or $80 million on the new high school.
What does bifurcate mean?
Mr. Swim's here. He can probably tell you. It's cut and divide.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We actually looked into it when we were way back when my son was still in middle school, and we were trying to find a way to fund the high school since they were saying we no longer could. And the pushback was that whether for financial reasons and also political reasons, they felt we had too many school districts, and to make a regional district would mean that we needed another superintendent. And so they didn't want to put that cost on. But I think we probably should look into opening a dialogue with them, because the numbers are going up. And I know, what are we now, 14,000 a kid to send to Peaburg? Yeah. And I know we have about 100 per grade from Lopat alone, so it is a lot of money. And like you said, we only have 3 seats for the sending districts on the school board, so we don't have any.
That doesn't matter at all. That's not worth a spit. I mean, the representative from Greenwich read a statement before the budget was passed and said that he would not vote for the budget. And Bill Taggart voted for the budget. The increase to us was passed last month. And then Mr. Rummerfield from Phillipsburg spoke up before his yes vote and said he doesn't think that sending districts are paying enough. So,
yeah, I think we do need to open a
Okay.
dialogue. Yeah, because I believe they can charge us up to what, 15,000? Yes.
It's a great discussion to have. I think it's got a lot of roadblocks, but that doesn't mean it's not worth trying again. I'm sure
Petition
you get a lot of
school board,
support
too.
from the outlining districts.
Yes.
well, they're, like I said, they're the majority at the high school. They should have representation. Thank you.
Questions, comments? In the back, Brian.
I want to address a concern in the park. We have the roads going up by the ball fields. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. The bike paths, they're walking paths, they're not vehicle paths. People are going up in there. They're almost taking out some kids. Not a place for cars. All right, so we're going to be addressing it. The reason why I'm letting you know that is because I will be putting poles in the middle of those lanes. All right, and I don't want somebody driving in there. So I'm just giving you a heads up. They're probably either going in tomorrow or Friday.
Yes, like,
Look,
the police are
it's
authorized
a problem.
to
The police are aware of it. I talked to Brian about it yesterday. We have a couple regular offenders, and be on notice that they're going to come looking for you if you go up there. Somebody drove up there the other day while there were ball games going on our 4 fields with a bunch of little kids running around, and someone's going to get hurt. They are not meant for that. You can walk. You got to carry a bag to a baseball game. You can walk to get there. or find help if you need it, but don't drive up there and put a child at risk.
Rose Lane is a private lane too. There's only parking for handicap there, and so they needed to reinforce that too. That's not, it's private.
Mayor, just so you're aware, there is a section of our traffic ordinance having to do with Lopatcong Park and the pool. I don't know if it's worth it for us to take a look at enhancing that section of the ordinance to prohibit vehicles on these bicycle and pedestrian paths.
Mhm.
They're intended for those uses and not for vehicular use.
Then we could raise the fine as well.
That's
too.
right. Yeah, not making a motor vehicle.
Okay.
So if that's something you're interested in, Katrina and I could work on that between now and the next meeting.
Sure, thank you. Mr. Schuster, how are you, sir?
Ed Schuster. I've been a resident of Morris Park for about 30 years. I just like to say I think past and present council has done a pretty good job of running the township. That being said, have they made mistakes? I think any of them would admit, sure, we've made mistakes. Have you made unpopular decisions? Sure, you've made unpopular decisions. Just like tonight, you don't all agree on things, but you have to make decisions which are best for everybody. And I think we all have to realize that. You look at these people here and say, oh, you're here for a couple of hours, they go home tonight, you're done till next month. Ha. I think they wish. Well, anybody who wants to take their place, I think they'd be more than welcome to have somebody take their place. It's not easy, whether you're running a township, a town, a city, a state, or a country. Whether you have a council, whether you have a group of people, you have one person. They all have to make decisions. They're not all going to be right. They're not all going to be popular. A lot of decisions that they have to make, like they were talking tonight. They don't all agree with it, but it's things that they have to do for the betterment of everybody. And I think we should give them credit for that. They're doing the best job that they can. Like I say, I've been here almost 30 years. Nothing's perfect. Nobody's going to be perfect. No situation is going to be perfect. I think they're doing a pretty damn good job. They found out about the taxes and everything else. So I think we should give them kudos for the job they do. We don't always agree 100%, but overall, I think, we got a pretty good place here we're living at. I think they're doing a pretty good job for us. So that's all I can say. While I'm here in disturbance, Dana and South 6th Street, the crossing is opening up pretty soon. Should get a stop sign there probably because I have an accident here or something. Okay, thanks.
All right, it's getting to be 10 o'clock. Anybody else? Questions, comments? More?
Yes.
On the Atlantic Association basketball court.
Everybody can be at ease. The reason I'm here is I just wanted to acknowledge our two basketball teams that we had this year that went undefeated and won their championships. They were the girls U12 Lady Ballers. They were undefeated. They won their championship, and then the girls U13 team went undefeated. They were the Lady Mercury. They won. Lady Ballers are coached by Dan Pace and Mercury by John Best. I just wanted to publicly acknowledge them and congratulate them.
Did you order your banner? Getting ready.
Anybody else? James.
Strikers Road. I just want to say I've attended the ACON for the past 9 years now, and I want to say what a wonderful job the council has done with that for the past 9 years. Thank you to DBW because I know they do it all the time. I have a hard time setting up and also to clean up, and the trees seem like to be a big hit this year. And one special thing I know I said to my husband when I was there this year was it was so nice to see each and every council person out there this year. That was nice to see everyone there working together. It was a great pleasure to see that. So I just want to say thank you for all your hard work and effort for doing and planning that. I know the children love it as well. So I know my kids couldn't wait to go, and they kept asking me, the whole week, when's the ACON? When's the ACON? So thank you for that. Also, in regards to the sidewalk situation that Mrs. Durbin's brought up today, I want to thank you for listening to me a couple of months or weeks ago, I guess it was, about the safety issue I had. By putting the sidewalk in on the other side, on how it would be unsafe for the children, be more pedestrian on the other side with no crosswalks there. obviously I'm concerned because of the school, which is why I came forward about it, because I have my own safety issue with my own children getting back and forth to school. But we're making it work, as the residents do, okay?
Yeah, the
But
crossing guards are concerned too.
yeah, so I just, sitting back and thinking about it more and more, logic starts sitting in and you start thinking about other safety as well. And it just, pros didn't outweigh the cons and so forth. So I want to thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nobody else? Motion to adjourn?
Oh yeah, can I give one shout out to the Easter Bunny? I'm sorry. I'd like to thank Alyssa Fishback, who's not here, but she very graciously decided to be our Easter Bunny. In case anybody was wondering who it was.
Hold on. Let me, if there's a, we don't have to have an executive session, do we? The only thing was that workplace thing, we can do that next month, can we?
Oh, do you have to remind about the veterans?
Veterans Memorial, somebody mentioned it, don't forget, May 17th, please, 11 o'clock up at the park, please come join us. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Third.
Can we go over everything?